So, here we are. Hi guys, welcome back to the Social Tune, and welcome to my first ever album review. And I never thought I'd do album reviews, but let's be honest here, I can't always make lists. For one thing, the editing really does wear you down, but for another thing, there are some albums I genuinely want to discuss in detail. So, at least till the end of the year, I'll be knocking out one of these once in a while. The criteria is pretty simple. It can be of a recently released album or of really any album that was released in 2016 so far. And with that in mind, let's dive into one of my most anticipated albums of the year, the new album by Clipping, Splendor and Misery.
Around a fucking hater, his experience immersive. Now that he can feel it, call the doctors and the nurses up. What you gonna do about it? Ain't nothing new about it. Should've made the noose a little tighter, cause it ain't nobody dead, just some motherfucking riders. Air 'em out, let 'em breathe. Air 'em out, got the fire. Air 'em out, wanna see. Air 'em out, dude.
The funny story, on first listen, I was hugely disappointed by this album. The concept sounded so amazing that I was certain it would be incredible and unique in their hands. But while it's definitely unique, on the next 7 or so listens, this album just wasn't clicking for me. Keep in mind that their self-titled album was one of my favourite albums of 2014, in a year where Open Mike Eagle and Run the Jewels released classic albums. And if you like that self-titled album, it doesn't matter, because this veers so far away from it that they're practically unrelated. Then I thought to myself, this is probably my fault for getting my expectations too high, or for that matter, having any expectations at all. It's Clipping, they're experimental as hell, they're always trying to throw curveballs at you. So I sat down, read the lyrics again, listened to the album, and it suddenly clicked. And from then on, with every consecutive listen, the a cappella and sparse electronic parts came together and melded perfectly. Until finally, I could say that I fully understood this album through and through, which took a total of 25 consecutive listens. And the result? Easily one of the best albums of the year and a contender for Album of the Year. So, how does it manage that? Well, a number of things, but first of all, the concept. For those of you who don't know, this was said to be a space opera about a slave ship floating through space where every single person on board died except for one of the slaves. And it's worth noting that most of the songs are not from his point of view, but from the point of view of the ship itself, from the ship's computer, which develops an odd obsession with the slave, going so far as to threaten anyone who would try and intervene on this love. Which, I mean, of course they would. He's a runaway slave, punishable by death. The concept alone had me longing for this album, as both a hardcore sci-fi and Clipping fan. But, as I said before, that wasn't enough. Which is where we have to talk about the instrumentation, which I just didn't get at all on my first few listens through this album. It alternates between sparse, frigid, mechanical instrumentation interspersed with sounds from the ship itself, the ship settling, the creaking, the alarms. It really is an experience. And then intersperses that with a cappella songs that really did throw me.
Come home, Grace, come home. Whoa, Grace, won't you come back home?
I have no problem with these two genres on their own, but the transition between the two was jarring as hell. But then I picked up the slave references in various songs, and looked up the a cappella songs, and realized that most of them were covers of old slave songs back in the days of black slavery. Suddenly, it made sense, as the record cleverly combines past, present, and future into something incredibly cohesive that works way better than you'd expect. Like I said, it takes a little while to get used to, and it also takes a while to notice the subtle transitions from song to song, as well as the shifting point of view. But that's when I realized it took it a step further, because this is political commentary, meaning it also has to have an effect on the present, right? And once I realized that, I was astonished by the parallels I found in this record. The protagonist blaming himself for what is clearly not his fault, isolating himself from society, while society points and laughs at just the clown that he has become for their own entertainment. And while the ending truly is triumphant when the protagonist discovers freedom, despite the computer being the one wanting to give up, which, after the heartbreaking story 5, you would kind of get, you have to wonder how badly society must have treated him that he would be willing to cut all ties with it, with his friends and family and everyone, just to be alone, to be at peace, away from them, leaving it all behind as he sets a course for a familiar set of coordinates. Oh, and that's another thing. There are a ton of sci-fi references on this album, too many to count, especially on Error Mouth and Better Place. So my thirst for good music, content, political undertones, timelessness, and sci-fi have all been quenched. What's left? Well, I could go into Daveed Diggs himself, who some of you may know from Hamilton.
Virginia, my home sweet home, I wanna give you a kiss. I've been in Paris meeting lots of different ladies. I guess I basically missed the late 80s. I traveled the wide, wide world and came back to this.
But do I really need to? He is incredible here, with dense, layered verses and rhyme patterns. His voice commands your attention, and he makes technobabble sound incredibly interesting. The last thing I'll say about his commentary is this. He doesn't explicitly say it, but think about it for a moment. This is an album which is set in the future, and yet there's slavery. And none of the reviews I've read have even commented on that. None of them find it remotely surprising. They all just take it as a given. What does that say about us, especially considering everything that's happening in the world at the moment? Why are we so accepting of the fact that the future may hold slavery yet again?
No home, you've been there, clearly off safety. No destination, no time for waiting. Saviors are fiction, memories fading like ghosts. Ghosts, go. Baby, don't sleep. Baby, don't sleep too much. Baby, don't sleep. Baby, don't sleep too much.
Baby, don't sleep. Baby, don't sleep too much. Baby, don't sleep.
Baby, don't sleep.
And on that note, this album may have taken its sweet time, but upon repeated listens, I have to call it what it is, guys. One of the best rap records of the year, as well as completely unique in rap music history. For its execution, instrumentation, and lyrics. Is it perfect? Honestly, there are a couple of production and lyrical choices that hold it back slightly for me, and it doesn't have the standout track that their self-titled album had. It really does work best as a whole, so I'm going to give it an extremely strong 9 out of 10. Check this one out, guys. It is really something special. And on that note, I'm Finn, and this is The Social Tune, signing off. For those of you who don't know, this album was... Here's where we have to talk about the instrument, which I just didn't get at all on my first few listens. Which I just didn't get at all on my first... Which I just didn't get at all. Which I just didn't get at all on my first... And it doesn't have the standout tracks that their self-titled album had. And it doesn't have the standout tracks that their self-titled...